Johnny Murr here, and welcome to a brand new video. Today we gotta talk about Saros, man. Saros or Saros, whatever this game is called, bro. I don't even care. I don't even care because I need to put my whole life on full stop right now. Because if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that Housemarque would announce a new game in February so soon, and it's a follow-up to Returnal, I would have done one of three things. Either one, I would have passed out, folded on the spot, right? Number two, I would have screamed my mind off. Or number three, I just wouldn't have believed you. Honestly, I just wouldn't have believed you. I did all three, pretty much. And that's because, ladies and gentlemen, at the State of Play in February, Housemarque announced Saros, which is pretty much, and what we're going to talk about and we're going to break down, go into all the information, pretty much a spiritual successor or follow-up to Returnal. In a way, it's kind of Returnal 2. It's just not called Returnal 2. And we're going to talk all about that. But ladies and gentlemen, if you love video games, I know I do, especially right now, man, because video games is just, it's so good right now. Consider subscribing, share with your friends, man. We cover everything gaming related. Doesn't matter what you love: Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, third-party, PC, VR, indie, whatever it may be. Consider subscribing, share with your friends. I appreciate all the support you guys give me, especially the support on this channel or on this video right here. But man, I don't even want to wait, Brad. I just want to talk about this. Saros, man. So Saros, developed by Housemarque. Now, for those of you who don't know why I'm freaking out about this, Returnal, which is developed by Housemarque, came out in 2021. It is my second favorite game of all time, only behind Ghost of Tsushima, which is my favorite game of all time. I know, I love PlayStation. I can't, what can I say? But I love everybody, right? And Returnal is such an interesting story. I've said it on the channel multiple times, but if you don't know, when Returnal originally came out, right, I consider a lot of things in my gaming life, right? There's a lot of moments where I would consider, that was a moment in gaming where once that happened, like, nothing was the same or everything changed. Like, it was one of those moments in time where you like reach a milestone in your life or just personality, right? And I feel like Returnal was one of those, because what happened in 2021, I was playing so many things. I was playing like every game, really. Like, I was playing almost every game that came out. But in April of 2021, that's the month Returnal released. The week of its release, my friend texted me, Christian, shout out to him, man. And me and him know that this story, we bring it up all the time. He texted me, he's like, yo, Returnal's coming out this week, right? And I was like, and I literally responded, and I mean, he knows, dude, like, literally in text, I said, yeah, I know, I don't really care. It looks cool, but it's not worth $70. I'll just wait till it goes on sale. The exact words I said. And, well, that's exactly what I did. I waited about 8 months until Black Friday, November of 2021. And, I finally got Returnal. And basically, like, a week after that, I booted it up. I put it in the PlayStation. I booted it up. And within the first 20 minutes of playing the game, I realized I made the biggest mistake of my life. Of my gaming life, right? I've made one of the biggest mistakes ever. And that is the fact that I legitimately slept on the game. Like, I don't know a better definition than slept on a game, or doubted a game, or just completely underestimated a game more than I did Returnal. Because 20 minutes in, I just knew this was going to be a game I love. Well, ended up becoming my second favorite game of all time. And from that moment forward, I told myself, I don't even care if I think it looks just okay. If it's something at all I'm interested in, I'm going to play it, because I won't know if I'm going to love a game until I play it. I think that's so true in today's day and age too, with any game. If you even find it somewhat interesting, that means there is something there. That means there is something there, whether it's minor, whether it's major. If you find it at all interesting, what video games does better than anything else in the world is it gives you an experience. If there is something interesting about a game, then that means there is something about that experience that you find interesting. And that experience might speak to you. I think that's so important. Sometimes, just stop talking and try the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's very simple. It's very simple. And that's what I learned with Returnal. I literally told him, I don't think it's worth it. I think it looks okay. I'll wait. Ended up becoming my second favorite game of all time. Lesson learned. And yeah, that is why I'm so excited for this. Because Returnal, it wasn't the highest selling game. It was very well critically acclaimed. I think it was robbed of a bunch of nominations that year, including Game of the Year. But I just didn't think we would get a Returnal 2 because it didn't sell well, and I just don't feel like where the game left off, there was really much room to do a sequel that I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense why we're doing a sequel. It would literally just be because it was really good. That would be the only reason we get a sequel, is just because it was really good. And I just didn't think it would ever happen, right? But nonetheless, because I loved Returnal so much and I noticed its quality, I love Housemarque now. They are one of my favorite studios because of the talent there. And so I knew whatever their next game was, I would be all on board for. It'd be one of my most anticipated games, period. Well, a dream came true a week ago. Housemarque announced a new game called Saros. And according to them, in their words specifically, builds on Returnal. That's it. That's it. I mean, not only did all I needed to hear was Housemarque, boom, sold. Not all I needed to hear was PlayStation first party, sold. The follow-up to Returnal. I don't know what happened, what I did so great in my life for God and the gaming world to bless me. In the fact that right now, my two most anticipated games are the sequels or follow-ups to my two favorite games of all time. The only two first-party PlayStation games that we have somewhat of a release window for just so happen to be my two favorite games of all time. I don't know what kind of luck that is. I don't know what kind of blessing that is. Like, when I think about that, how can I be upset about anything? People would, do so much to get a sequel to some of their favorite games of all time. And I have two in the chamber right now. Absolutely crazy. I'm not even taking into consideration a bunch of other things. Like, I'm getting Metroid Prime 4, which is Metroid's my second favorite franchise of all time, right? So I just love everything that's happening right now, and Saros just adds to that completely, because I just didn't think we would ever get Returnal again. And granted, this isn't Returnal 2, but it's going to be dang close. It's going to be dang close, and we're going to talk about it. I know I just went on a huge rant, and I'm sorry. If y'all just came here to talk about Saros and break down the information, I hope you skipped past all that rant, because I just had to get that out. I just had to express my excitement and just disbelief that this is even real. I can't believe it. In a way, this is almost more exciting than the idea of Ghost of Yotei to me, because I just didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming at all. I can't believe it's real, whereas I knew Ghost of whatever was coming, right? I knew Ghost 2 was coming. And don't get me wrong, when we see more of that game, I'm gonna be glazing it every single day. We're gonna be like Krispy Kreme donuts in here, you know? So I just love video games, guys. Let me tell you, if you love video games, subscribe, man. We gotta talk about video games every single day, bro. What? Video games, man, they are I love it. But we're gonna talk about Saros, man. We're gonna break down a bunch of information and just talk about it. So yeah, Saros is the latest game by Housemarque. By the way, let me break down the trailer real quick. So it starts with a voice. The main character is played by sorry if I mispronounce it, Rahul Kohli. Rahul Kohli. If you guys know Alana Pierce, this is actually her boyfriend, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty neat little fact about this, but it starts off with him like saying a line or two. He wakes up on like sand or like a beach or something. You see water, but then he gets up. He's in like this black and yellow suit, like futuristic suit. He picks up a gun. He looks up in the sky and there's like this. It looks like a solar eclipse that ends up turning into like a black hole or something like that. I don't even know what's going on, right? But then the whole sky starts like swirling and this amazing orange and yellow coloring to the whole scene. And then he starts walking towards it. And then when he starts walking towards it, this monster starts coming out of this water. And let me tell you, this trailer, I'm sorry. Like, I kind of have to do a little bit of a personal flex here. You know I'm a fan of something when I literally called it I literally called exactly what the game is halfway through the trailer. As soon as I started seeing that monster come up, I'm like, this game looks like a Housemarque game. This game is just living and breathing Housemarque. This is a follow-up to Returnal. I literally said it in the trailer reaction. We didn't get this information until after the state of play. I literally said in the trailer, I'm like, this has to be a Returnal follow-up. Because I love that game so much, and I love Housemarque so much. I just knew it. I could just see it, right? But anyway, the monster starts coming up, and he starts like aiming at the monster, and then you see, and throughout the whole thing, he's talking about dying and coming back stronger and, you know, doing things over again. I'm like, that sounds like a roguelike. That sounds like Returnal, right? And then you zoom in on his eye, and in the reflection of his eye, you see that bullet hell thing that Returnal has, where it's these projectiles in a certain shape or artistic form that you have to dodge. And as soon as that happens, then it reveals the title, Saros. I don't know what that means or if I'm even pronouncing it right, but it sounds dope, right? So that was a trailer. But anyway, this is the latest game by Housemarque, the ultimate evolution of the Housemarque gameplay first experience. So look, if you've been a fan of Housemarque or you've played any of the games, you know their games are primarily focused on gameplay. Like, that is their strong suit. That is what they specialize in, is gameplay. They've said it in multiple games. They are a gameplay first studio. And I think that's a W. I mean, there's a reason Returnal has my favorite gameplay of all time. That's why it's my second favorite game of all time. It's because of the gameplay. But this is a new single-player IP, so they're not going live service, thank God. So this is a new single-player IP, and it's going to build on Returnal, meaning pretty much what they're confirming here is it's pretty much going to play exactly like Returnal. They're just building on it without saying, hey, this is a direct sequel to Returnal. It might take place in the same universe. Who knows? Like, we'll end up seeing. But yeah, this is going to build on Returnal. It's a new single-player IP by Housemarque, and it's an evolution of the gameplay first experience. You take on the role of Arjun Devraj. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it is played by Rahul Kohli. So where this game takes place is a hostile, shape-shifting planet, Carcosa. Again, we don't know what a lot of this means. I'm just going over what we know because I just want to talk about this game any way I can. But shape-shifting planet, basically they've said that every time you die, the whole planet's going to shape-shift in a way, which kind of is a way Returnal works. Like, every time you die, the whole like layout of the map would change. Like it'd be the same rooms, like repeated itself again, but like in a different way. Like, sometimes when you would start a run, the first room you go in is this big room with a boss. Other times you'll start a run and the first room you go into is just a loot room, right? So in a way it kind of changes every time, but they're saying the whole planet's going to shapeshift every time you die. So I don't know what that means. But there is an ominous eclipse. Like I said, it looked like there was like a solar eclipse going on. There is going to be a haunting story. So this is interesting because I love the horror components of Returnal. It's not really a horror game, but there is, spookiness to it. The atmosphere is very spooky. It's very horror-esque, right? They're once again going with a horror-esque game. And I think that is really, really good. They did say that every death reshapes the world. And so, again, I don't know exactly what that's going to mean on a gameplay standpoint, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, the big difference here is, I guess this is the big change that they've already stated, is that there is going to be permanent progression system, right? So the difference with Returnal is you go on a run, and in that run, throughout all the rooms you go to, you pick up upgrades, you pick up better weapons, better things, right? But then if you die, you lose it all, and you're just normal Celine again at the start of the next run. There are some permanent things that you get in Returnal, but that isn't upgrades that you do. That is like things that the game gives you. Like, oh, you get to the second stage, all right, you get a grappling hook, so now you can enable everything that has to do with the grappling hook. That's not something you unlock. That's not an ability you purchase. It's not an ability you use a skill point on, right? That is something the game gives you. Whereas they're saying here, there will be a permanent progression system. So I'm guessing, you know, the more you play, the more you fight, the more you earn, you will just become a better character in the game. I think that's honestly a pretty smart thing to do, because I feel like the biggest reason why Returnal, or one big reason why Returnal didn't blow up the way it did, is because it is super challenging, and it is that the only way to beat the game is literally by getting super good. That is the only way at beating the game. Whereas this, if this is true, where you just can upgrade your thing permanently, over time, you'll just become better at the game because your character is better, right? So I feel like that might end up being a really good decision. This game is going to have deep third-person action. Expect it. PS5 exclusive. It will be PS5 Pro enhanced. We're going to be seeing gameplay of this game later in 2025. You best believe I'm going to be on my knees praying to Lord Jesus for whenever that happens. And it is scheduled for 2026. We did see that date at the end of the trailer. But yeah, this is just so exciting to me. The fact that we are getting a game with basically pretty much confirmed at this point to be Returnal gameplay. Just supposedly in a different world, different setting, different plot, right? And something else I will add is they also did confirm that, you know, Housemarque has been a gameplay first studio, but this is the first title where they are going to be upping the story aspects, right? Returnal was kind of that entry point. They've never made games before with, I guess, stories or like plots, right? Returnal was their first attempt at a game with a story in it. And I feel, personally, they crushed it. I loved it. It's not you get like these epic cutscenes to tell you a story. No, the world building, the characterization, just the lore, everything about the game was just, I think, very well placed. Whereas this time they said that is actually going to be more of a focus. It's not going to be, they're not getting rid of their gameplay first moniker. The game is still 100% going to be carried by the gameplay. That's a guarantee. But they are going to focus on story a little bit more this time around. And I think that is also a good thing. I think that will also help get more eyes and attention on the game. So there's just a lot to love here. I just loved the trailer. I loved the moment, of course. I love Housemarque. I love the gameplay that I'm hearing. I love the things we're seeing. I think for me, the biggest thing is, and I feel like this is a lot of people, I know this is a crazy thing to say. It's like, okay, how much can you really glaze a game? Well, welcome to the Johnny Mer channel talking about Returnal. My biggest concern is how are they going to improve? I know that's a crazy thing to say, but honestly, I was listening to a kind of funny podcast, and they were talking about it, and they were like, honestly, I'm worried the game is going to feel too similar to Returnal, because in what ways can you even make the system of Returnal better? Returnal dang near perfected what a third-person action roguelike can be. It is so it's just so complex. It's so just placed so well designed, so well thought out. It's like, what can you add to not get rid of that feeling and get rid of that quality, but while also making it feel new and refreshing? Evolve on what is already considered one of the best gameplay systems out there. That is kind of a worry for me, is, okay, are we just getting it again, just a different coat of paint, right? I think for me, the whole permanent player progression is definitely a step in the right direction. Like, I don't know if it will end up being better or worse than Returnal, but I think that is something where I'm like, okay, that does seem like a pretty significant difference, right? So I think that is a good thing. So we'll just have to wait and see. We're going to see more gameplay. Personally, I'm not really worried at all. Housemarque's going to crush it. The game's going to be fantastic. Whether it feels too similar or not, people love Returnal because it's so freaking fantastic. If that's the case again, so be it. It's another fantastic freaking game, right? So I have no doubt Housemarque is going to blow it out the water. And look, just so everybody knows, it's pronounced Housemarque, okay? But way early on when I first played the game, I thought it was Housemarque until I learned it was Housemarque. But even then, I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm still going to call it Housemarque. So if I call it Housemarque, don't think I just don't know how to pronounce it. That's just, it's like a little personal thing, right? But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Johnny Moore out. Peace.